While the DCEU doesn't exactly have a great record of producing amazing superhero films in modern culture today, as well as a less than enjoyable version of itself in the late 1960s, it wasn't until Batman the Animated Series previewed on Fox Kids in 1992. This installment is by far one of the most precise and absolute depictions of the world's greatest detective, and is flawless in its execution at establishing the presence of the Dark Knight. The moment the opening began when it first premiered, the Ebullient atmosphere, along with the beautiful representation of Gotham set in a 1940s-esque environment, we knew what was to come was going to stand out from what came before. Not nearly as gothic as Tim Burton's 1989 interpretation, or as incredibly dark and unnecessarily aggressive as modern-day versions, it still upheld the dominance of the Caped Crusader. While the style was incredibly unique from anything else that was on television at the time, audiences fell in love with the show for its overall characterization of its cast. Characterization is key when developing the motives and personalities of fictionalized characters, becoming absolutely essential for later plot devices to add more personalized and emotional tone to that character. Aside from Kevin Conroy, who in my opinion is the greatest Batman to this date, Mark Hamill stole the show with his intimidating and charismatic take of the Bat's greatest enemy, the Joker. Underused characters from the comic books were given a much more emotional spotlight, revealing themselves to be more human with understandable goals that they constantly try to surpass. A perfect example would be Mr. Freeze. In 1959 he was first introduced, but as a wacky, more cartoon version of his modern day depiction, with no exact motive for in his first appearance, including a version of himself in 1997's Batman and Robin.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
This show provided Mr. Freeze with a much more tragic backstory, adding emotional elements and motive to see his character as a man just trying to save his wife from a deadly disease, allowing himself to be seen as more human than just the villain.
Can't stop it now. My wife is in there.
So bring her out.
You can't interrupt the process now.
Open it.
Over time, characters became more watered-down versions of themselves, as Hollywood tries too hard to make already established characters cooler, darker, or edgier than what they already were before. This animated series depicts Batman in his purest form, and there is no argument in identifying this television show as the most definitive and righteous adaptation of The Masked Manhunter. Of course, nothing is perfect, and this show has had its fair share of mistakes and flaws in the past, but it's easily overlooked by the perfection each episode provides with intensity and entertainment. I hope you all enjoyed the video. My Twitter's below, and if you have anything you would like me to cover, you're free to leave suggestions below. Until the next video, cheerio!